So we all know people who don't really care about cars. They say things like, I just want a car that brings me from A to B. These people terrify me. However, we do have to consider their point. For some people, they prefer other things, such as their children and music. And for them, cars really don't matter. And this is where cars like this come in. The Dacia Sandero Stepway, which quite frankly, and spoiler alert, for the money, is nothing short of exceptional. And there must be a few people that agree, because more than 1.7 million Sandero models have been sold, 1.3 million of those in Europe. This year in Ireland, Dacia sales are up 27% compared to the year before and are selling similar numbers to the likes of Opel. This isn't the new Fiat. This is more like the new Skoda, a brand that was once sniffed at, but now has to be taken seriously. So why don't we get a few things out of the way first of all. For a start, the Dacha brand is not sexy. Well, not yet anyway. Sure enough, the Duster in its basic form is quite a cool car, but let's face it, you're not going to be showing off your Dacia keys to anyone in a hurry. Speaking of which, the Dacia key is more like a card, and I keep leaving it behind, especially in the car. Now that's not necessarily Dacia's fault, more mine. It isn't a bad looking car here in Stepway form, and multiples better looking than the model it replaces, which sat on the old 2005 Renault Clio platform. This one, with its pseudo SUV looks, sits on the latest Clio platform. This is a new car you can buy without irritating anyone, even in this less than subtle desert orange colour. It also isn't expensive, and that is where we really start getting to the point. The Sandero is Ireland's cheapest car in its more standard guise, starting for a tenner less than 13 grand. And even in Stepway version, which tickles today's fetish for cars that look like off-roaders with some elevation and various other great outdoor styling, comes in at less than 16 grand. As it sits here for €19,810 in its all-singing, all-dancing prestige spec, that's still pretty good value. Any car in tax-ravaged Ireland that comes in under 20 grand is quite a thing. The fact that this one happens to be actually very good is something else. Inside the cabin is clearly laid out. You have two USB ports up front, and the centre console is dominated by this intuitive touchscreen infotainment system, which includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also features a handy smartphone holder, although I found that it kept pinching my phone so tight that it tried to shut down a few times. The plastics in places aren't the best, but where it matters most, they are more than decent. This one is the dual fuel version, so employs two tanks, one with regular petrol and the other with LPG, which is something I haven't seen since my Uncle Leo's Volvo 245. LPG is popular in Europe, but never really has been here, despite many aborted attempts at popularising it. This LPG model gets a 50-litre petrol tank that powers a 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine in the normal way, but can switch to a separate LPG tank, promising, according to Dacia, a 40% saving in fuel costs, as well as an 11% reduction in CO2. You will find a few places to fill up, they're just not that plentiful outside of Dublin. Should you want to fill up with LPG, Dacia have provided this adapter which makes filling up easy. So what's the Sandero like to drive? Look, do you know what, it's fine. The steering is pretty imprecise, the gear changes are pretty imprecise, the power from the engine is okay, there's enough, it's adequate. But you know what? Absolutely no one who buys this car is going to care less about any of that. They don't care if it has dynamic driving characteristics. It doesn't matter. This car is all about practicality, comfort, value for money, and those are the things that are going to be of concern to anyone buying this car. I really didn't think I'd like this car at all. I thought I would hate it because I don't really like those small pseudo SUVs and don't generally see the point of them. But you know what? I get it. This car ticks so many boxes for so many people because it looks nice, it's inoffensive, the quality of the interior is fine, it drives well. Sure, it's not particularly interesting to drive, but there's so many people who don't care about that. And I think that's the point. This is a good value car which is going to cost you a couple of €100 per month on a PCP. It's got a 5-year warranty, so you're not going to have any mechanical headaches with this car. Even if you did, it's covered. There's a 328 litre boot space, which is really quite decent for this genre of car. There's enough space in the back for the kids, and you know what, it just works. So if you want a new car in 2021 and budget is a concern, then you really won't feel very hard done by owning this. Budget motoring has never really seemed so good.